Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. I didn't get ret today, even though it is Sunday and it is the 15th of March. It's supposed to get super cold tonight. It's weird. But anyways, here in Marietta, Georgia, I didn't bring ret. Our house is a bit of a crazy situation. Um, our cat is just sort of hanging out over here in the window, looking out the window. I have the window open for her so she can chill and watch what's going on. And we have my granddaughters in the house, so it's just a little crazy, a little cray cray. She's a pretty the very robust creature, but she is fragile at the same time. So I guess robust isn't the right word. She's a very capable creature, but she's fragile. So I don't want her to I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. But so what we're working on is okay, so the overall goal is like this. So here's the test. Okay, so I'm going to go to entities. So basically, I'm sort of like test first mentality on this. And then at the same time, this is the very small issue I'm dealing with at the moment is an issue that I find arises over and over and over again. And generally, if I'm working an 8-hour shift, it's just one of many things that I can accomplish. So I'll typically accomplish when I'm working on something is setting up like the menus and stuff. But the thing is I never really have time to think through it and think through, different options and understand why I do certain things and stuff like that. So I'm sort of taking this as a opportunity to just slow roll through um, basic just what is going on. And so, anyways, we have our um, here's the test though, right? So I would have the um, Cypress click on this, add a viz, click on this, delete the viz, and then go back. And this isn't quite the one I want, but anyways, this guy should be gone. So that wasn't the whole test. So let's do the test again. Let's actually do the test. So this drop down has this. So it'll click on ST animation because this is to delete an animation. Now that's not working at this point. That is what we're going to be working on. But then it would go to ST animation just like that. Right? And then at this point we would add a visualization. And then at this point, we would click this button and then we'll hit delete and then we'll go back. And this animation should be gone. But right now it's failing. So that's the test we're gonna write. But there's no, I guess, and I guess it would make total sense. We could write the test now and then um, watch it pass. But honestly, I think it'd be better just to get that working. But before we can get this, we're still a step behind, right? So if I hit um, entities, so I'm probably going to want it to. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll write another end-to-end test. Probably write another end-to-end test that uses this. Clicks here. Oh, wrong one. Clicks here. Clicks ST animations, and then we're expecting to be at ST animations. Um, we might even add one ahead of time and then click that and then go to ST animations. And that will probably be a different end-to-end test that is just a direct result. But the thing to keep in mind is that if the overall goal was to just be laser efficient and get this animation deleting, we don't really need this UI. We could just build that. But I don't see how I could test it with end-to-end tests. So that's what's driving this whole effort. And I think I worked this all last week. Um, and then in the meantime, it was just like, oh wait, I want to. That's something I've been working on for a while. I want to deal with that. So, anyways, it looks like we have this first step taken care of. So, entities is first. That was one of the things we wanted to do, and we wanted the blank one to be gone, and it's gone. So we have that. But basically, we need to merge this one and this one. So we only want to show this all ST types. And I probably want it to be lowercase. I probably want all of this to be lowercase, all ST types. Be just to stay consistent with everything else. Um, even though it is very different. So we're just going to say it like this. So we have two things going on here. One, we have a hard-coded ST types, and the other one, we have this loop. And basically what we want is all ST types to be only um, when the thing is when the value is entities. But in all other cases, we want the value and the label to be the same. And so there are just literally dozens of different ways to accomplish this task. And the best way is really dependent on if what you think it lies in the future. And I think that this is it. I think we're at the end of the road with as far as populating this download. So I think it's a good idea to do like a at if. I think it's at if, and I don't think we do that, right? At it's just like at for. Oh no, it looks like we do that, and that's I I don't know if I think there is an at else. And this is a really good example of like um, like something that I just thought was so stupid is when they shifted over to at else, the at if, and man, was I wrong. And I'm just gonna tell you straight up right now, um, you better get used to being wrong if you're gonna be a software developer. All right, so there are a couple ways to do this. We always know it's the first one, right? So we could say at if I equals 0. So that's the index. So if the index is equal to 0, I'm not going to do this. This is not how I'm going to do it. But I just wanted to kind of make sure, I guess more than anything else, I just wanted to make sure um, that the world is working the way I think it works. I think that's a good way to do it. So theoretically, I think we should have an all ST types, and then an all, instead of entities, we should have, oh, yeah, we should have this. All ST types, all ST. Oh, it shouldn't be types. It should be entities. Well, no, I think entities, right? I don't want to see all types. I want to see all the entities. I don't care about types. If I'm saying show me them all, show me all, whether even if it's not a type, which should be all types and all entities should be the same. All right, so this works. I would imagine if you are working at a place where, they really do take a good close look at your PRs, um, this would fail. This would get rejected. And I don't know why. I mean, I think it is very likely. I mean, I know why. I'm not saying I don't know why, but I think that the thing is um, we want it to be as likely to succeed as possible. And so um, I think down the road, and I think that this is very, very likely, like 90% likely to be fine. Like we'll always want all to be first and we'll never need to worry about it. But I feel like we can get a little bit better and we could say entity selection item, and that's equal to blank entities, right? Is it entities or entity? And I don't know why it doesn't like this. Oh, entities, yeah. So this is saying that this is unintentional because types that or that or that and string don't overlap, which is weird. So I don't know. This to me seems I don't quite, and I have this thought. I will say, especially when TypeScript first came out, I would have this thought like 10 times a day. Um, I have this little thought right now that says, well, I don't know which one's this. Well, no. Oh, wait. So it's saying entities. Oh, entity select item, not data. Not data. Or as they say in Australia, not dater. I think they say it that way in Australia. They put a like an R at the end. And it's not entities. Let's just copy this. I'll tell you, it's just like something I learned. I would say it was probably around 2002 or 2003. It just started to dawn on me that, like, maybe it was even later than that, but it started to dawn on me that JavaScript as and web development as a sort of whole is kind of a set of just informal standards that we all just do. And we sort of, someone makes a little tweak, and if it's good, it gets absorbed. And if it's bad, it just kind of, you just have that, and you're the only one that does it. Or not, I guess good and bad's not the right word, but if it like sometimes they'll take and sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll like you'll make some sort of modification to the way you code stuff and all that, and then it ends up where people see it, and then when they see it they're like, oh wow, that's a great idea, and then they follow along or not, right? Like that's just sort of, and with through that process what has happened is like every 3 years what it means to be a web developer really changes. It almost takes a whole flip onto its head, right? Like coding, like in 1998, if you were a professional web developer and you were a JavaScript person, um, first of all, everything you did was for enhancement. Like corporations wouldn't let you make JavaScript be required because not all browsers had it and they didn't all implement it the same and stuff like that. But like, so your whole goal was just to use your JavaScript to make things better. That was the whole goal. And then it became like, oh, you know what, we're going to do form validation. We're going to do validations with it. And if you have to have JavaScript, it won't work unless you have JavaScript. So then we had that. And that happens. It just keeps flipping and flipping and flipping. And we're just like, it happens every 3 years. But it dawned on me today, this morning, that that actually happens in just regular life, but it's more like every 10 years. Every 10 years, the world has just changed so much. And we all sort of settle into these sort of personality types. And we start to, just develop a personality type that works for us, right? And if it works for you, it's probably working for somebody else. And then you sort of, as you become, I don't know, this word sort of entered into my lexicon maybe 6, 8 years ago, a cohort. And you have this cohort of people that are like you and that do things the same way, that have things in common with you and all that, that were had experiences applied to them at the same time as you, whatever, like I think a cohort of human beings is people who sat next to the radio waiting for a song to come on with their finger on the record button, right? Like that's a cohort of people that learn to live a certain way. Well, so anyways, we're trying to, like, I don't think that artificial intelligence, right? And if you're in IT and you're not thinking about artificial intelligence, I don't know what to tell you, because it's just like this is affecting our lives and this will affect your life, and it will make you better, it'll make you worse, it'll make you smarter, it'll make you dumber. And just depending, it's any other tool, right? Like you can have a knife or a fire or whatever, these critical important tools, and they can help you or they can hurt you. Um, so, anyways, you got to kind of, I don't think AI is more impactful than copy paste. Like we used to have to be able to copy, or we used to have to remember what the variables were and then type them correctly, the right place and all that. And that all had to come from memory because copy paste didn't always exist. Um, but copy paste, didn't they didn't come up with like a narrative that gave them an excuse to fire everybody so that they could take all their bonuses now and make all their crazy decisions and then just gut these companies. And that's what we're going through is people are using AI as an excuse to gut companies, um, and to just enrich themselves. Um, so that's just and it's one of the oldest stories in the book. But anyways, I don't think we want this up here anymore. I don't know where that comes from either. Um, I think that's this guy. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. I remember when we did that. Oh, the good times. I think that might have been before daylight savings. I'm not sure, but that's gone now. And we have a good drop down and we're populating it the way we want. So the next step, there's a lot of possible next steps. The next step that I would like to create is a function. I believe this thing has like a change event. Change, value change. I don't know if it's value change or selection change. I guess it is value change. Selection change is interesting. I bet you the difference between value and see, here's a good example. Like if I was working right now and I was getting paid in employment, I would probably just select one. I probably wouldn't and try it and see if it works. And then I probably wouldn't like go into this opining thing. Um, But selection change probably means that two things could have the same value, two entities. So two drop downs could have the same label or different labels, but the same value, or even the same label and same value. And they're just saying, hey, you changed the selection. Whereas value change is like, hey, it was 5 and now it's 4. Now this can be like a, a source of problems for like value changed before, blah, 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 blah. So we kind of have to be a little bit careful. Actually, we may already have something like that. Let's see. I don't think so, though, because all of our values were set before the constructor even ran, or at least as the constructor ran. Um, Actually, you know what? This would be a perfect time to figure that out. Okay, um, so now I'm on a side. We are on a side adventure that is not going to help us get this project done, but it's something I'm curious about. And the question is, it literally just hit me that I can do this. Okay, so this populate menu happens on line 38. So populate menu should console. I got a cat meowing at me. The baby, my wife's out there with the baby, and she's crying. So, so I think what should happen, and I don't know. There's no way for me to know, right? Like I'm just taking a guess. There's no way for me to actually know. But I believe that populate menu will happen before constructor. But I don't know. I really don't. And I don't think it matters right now, but like I don't know when like it's a little nice piece of information to know. So yes, populate menu happened before this constructor. So a second ago I said before the constructor even executes, all the data is settled. So we should be okay to we shouldn't get any weird bugs. All right, so now let's go back to here. And we're going to assume that we want value change. I'm not 100% sure. And then uh, menu change, menu. And then I think what we want to do is pass in, is it dollar? Hmm. I think it's like dollar something. I can't remember what it is though. All right. So ChatGPT, this has just never been available ever before. So in Angular, the Angular material select, what is the difference between select change, value change? Okay, I'm just curious. Sometimes people say select change. Selection change. Selection change. Oh, okay, so one of them is specific. Ah, dollar event is what I want. I had a junior developer ask me like, what is the meaning of this dollar thing? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't have the vaguest idea why we have, but I do think it's just part of the Angular template variable system. They're just like they just made a special magic thing that you component itself emits not triggered when you set the value programmatically. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And this is Angular forms. Is this? Yeah, I guess this is an Angular form. Practical person fires on UI change. Yes, fires on programmatic change. Matt, selection change doesn't. Okay. So the question, so they never even talk. He doesn't. They don't talk about like the thing I was thinking. So what are these things called? Mat options. Same value. I guess emit is the better. What is that? That's a adverb? No, that's a verb. Emit is a verb. Will emit when the user, even if the value is the same. Okay, so that's what I thought because you're changing the selection. See, that's what I thought. I thought value change. If they're the same, it won't. But I don't think I'm worried about that. So, but we are getting error because we do not have a variable. I mean, a corresponding function in here. Now, it's always good to sort of like at this is a good time to go, hey, this thing, I think it's a string, but I don't know. I think with value, I think the other one gives you like an object and then boolean, and then I'm just gonna return true because it was because it did change, and I'm gonna say console. Uh, I don't know what just happened there. Value, comma. Okay, so it's not. You can't do that. It's a. Did I miss changed? Changed, and then let's just see it. So I'm curious. What I'm really yeah. So it's just a string. Um, Now, what I'm very, very curious about, and I guess I just now thought of that, is that okay, when because basically at this what I want to happen is see it's choose, but it should say all because it's all ST entities right now. So that should be the selected. Um, Now I don't know in Angular material. How do you mark a mat option as selected? Selected in the URL. So it's selected in the UI. Wow, my granddaughter's putting up a fit. She's very, very, very has a very high like she's very spirited. She's a very spirited human being. Um, so so form control. Do I have a form control? I don't want it. You could change it like that. I don't. We aren't using reactive forms, right? I'm just gonna double check that, but I don't think we even. Yeah, we don't bring reactive forms in. Well, no. Yeah, so we aren't using reactive forms. Selected on the option, not recommended. It's so funny, not recommended. They no value, no reason, just okay. So I am statically. So it's saying you could just say selected in here. So okay, mat option. We aren't. Are we doing mat option? Is that what's going on? Yeah, mat option. So apparently they're saying we need to double check this. They're saying that if I just put the word selected here, okay, so, and I am just doing static. Okay, so it didn't work. Selected did not do what they claimed. Yeah, so that's not even showing up as selected. I mean, I don't know if we can even see in the inspector. Inspect. The problem is they start adding all kinds of crazy stuff in here. Okay, so this is not showing up as selected. We definitely have it selected. I'm just going to put the word selected in there just so we can be 100% sure that this is the right one. Yeah, see, it's not. Okay, so I okay, so I have this code. So I have this markup. That's so that's so funny. It ignores selected attribute once it initializes the component. Yeah, I noticed that. Oh, so it's saying that up there, the value. Oh, that actually will be nice. Actually, I truly preview that. I know that I run into like anytime I've worked with this component before, I've run into these exact issues, but I generally get it worked out and figured out before, and then just sort of move on. So this is why I'm trying to kind of take a slower. So that's probably a big reason why I'm trying to take um, a slow roll to this thing. Okay, but we can't. Okay, I don't know. I don't really know the selected one until we have our from our route. So I guess what we need to do is like do this like value. And now I'm wondering if we're going to end up with that crazy ass error where it says thing was selected was done before. You know, because it's got so this selected value is going to get selected after um after the route is done doing its stuff, right? So the routing kind of takes a while to emit things and stuff like that. So um, there's a very good chance that we'll end up with some sort of weird timing issue. I don't know for sure, but got to figure that out. So route filter, I think is going to be a good name for this thing. And let's go route filter. And see, here's where things get weird, right? Is that um, no, it's going to be why do okay a routing detail type, and then or undefined. So I'm just going to do it like that. And then I'm going to say that this thing is equal to this thing. Okay, I already did that. Okay. Now let's go see route filter, route filter. Oh, I didn't save it. I do that all the time. That is, ooh. And then I'm in the browser when I try to hit save. So I do that all the time too. All right. So the big thing I was worried about is like in our console. If we get like a error that says that we're not allowed to um, set it to undefined or that it changed or whatever. So now we have our route, and I believe this is the right thing. Let's see what log route route. And if this is in fact the right one, like I built all that out before, and then I had to go build out this menu thing so that we could populate it. You know, it's just like what you work on in what order is just really it's hard because you're trying to figure that out. Um, okay, so we're seeing route. Oh, so this route is called custom, and then this route is called data. So this is not the route we care about. I believe we have another route. Oh, it's the route detail type. Where does that come? I guess that's this guy right here. So that might have not been the right one. Console.log. But yeah, like so you're coming up and like if you're well today's developers, we kind of have to use ChatGPT at the moment or AI at the moment. There's just no way around that. it's just you. Well, I mean, your life is just going to be a lot more enjoyable. Um, route detail type. Did I not? Oh, okay, so the first time we didn't get any detail type, and then entities. This is what we care about. So, okay, so basically we want to set it if it is something. So we don't want to go from if it's nothing, because the first time it shoots out, it's just going to shoot out nothing. But if it's something, then we want to set our route. I think. I'm pretty sure no, we're not handling blank other than to say, um, other than to say, like we're just filtering it out. So we're ignoring blank. I guess we're going to say we'll ignore blank again. So if route detail type is equal to blank, and we're saying if it's not equal to, and I've never understood the not double equals to. Like if it's not equal, it's not equal, whether it's a different thing or whatever, or maybe that was just a coincidence. I don't know. But um, console.log. Okay, set the menu. We're just gonna say set the menu to comma out. And I'm already seeing an issue. CF12. And it's just like, so this right here, and I think I might have even mentioned it at the time, I don't really like this. I don't like to have like logics like this in effects and in the constructor because it's really hard to unit test those. And this project we are unit testing. So I'm going to say, uh, I'm going to call this apply filters. And basically, apply filters is going to return an array like this. So it's gonna, oh, that's the wrong one. I don't think that's the right, yeah, that's the detail types. It's gonna do something along ST entity records, I think is what this thing returns. And I don't know if you noticed, but we literally just went completely off the rails and we're working on something completely different than what we were working on before. Um, and that's not at all unusual. Okay, so we're going to pass in this, which is I believe it is a routing detail type. Okay, so that's our type. And then I think we just want to do this. And you'll be very tempted to like just kind of leave it as this and say you're not returning anything. I do think I've just in my personal experience, and I almost feel like not doing it though, like setting it like this, but because I'm trying to figure out why things go wrong. But in my experience, anytime I've ever worked on something like this and then kind of done a this records, I wouldn't say anytime because I guess that's kind of that survivor bias, but the const filtered. Um, I quite often have to undo it and return um, and return the and return the value instead of setting something locally. But so basically, I'm creating a filtered records variable, and I'm just setting it to being a blank. Now I did make it a constant. It shouldn't be a constant. It should be a let because I fully intend to completely override it if depending on the situation. And then so this is filtered records is equal to and then filtered record is equal to this. And so let's see if we can just switch it over. This isn't quite done yet because we need to also get rid of this. We don't want this to be anywhere in this function. We'd like this function, if at all possible, to make it what's known as a pure function. So that means it doesn't depend on any state variables and it doesn't um, set any state variables. It just does what it does. So, but I believe I can say this route filtered records is equal to this apply filters. And again, all of this changes literally 100%. The main driving force is not having um, or unit testing, being able to unit test. Okay, so now I should be able to, well, let's just make sure nothing breaks. Because if I just did some silly thing in there, then that's pretty, um, like it'd be easier to fix at this point than once we've gone down a little bit more. All right, so now we want to not use this, and it's the table records, right? So we want to get our table records. So basically, it needs to be kind of like apply how this one takes a table record. Yeah, so records. I like that. It's always good to try to stay as consistent as you can between like well, it's not always good. Sometimes it's very often very good idea to be consistent with your naming across different functions. But sometimes the name of something changes contextually uh, in the other function, and when that happens, it's a good idea to name it um, based on what it is in the new thing, in the new concept records. Did I do wrong one? Did I do? Oh no, that is this dot table records. All right, that's good. And then change this to records. It's probably would have been smart to go try it out, make sure everything's still working. But I'm gonna jump a step. I'm gonna take a leap over and not test it and just hope that that works out. Now, I would say it's likely to work out. May not, but and we're trying to. This is that. All of that looks good. All right. So now we're back to that because basically I'm definitely going to want to do the same thing over here. I want to call a function and have it run. And that, like I said, the main reason is so that instead of having to set things up so when the component renders itself, so instead of having to set all that up, I could just um, set the value. I mean, I can just, instead of sending it up, I totally forgot what I was about to say. Oh, so instead of having to set this, like try to figure out how to render this component in such a way that it handles this, um, if this blah 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 blah. If we have to change that, then I mean, if we have to test the this logic, it's better if it's in a function like a pure function that's just standalone. Then we can just test that thing. So, anyways, but let's try it. So this dot router, what's that? Router value or something like that? Route filter. Route filter is equal to route detail type. So we only want to do that if it's not blank, because it's going to get a blank one to start. Like that's just the way signals work, and that's like a lot of reactive type software. There we go. Okay, so we have an extra selected word in there, so that works. And then so the big question mark is, do we get? Yeah, so we don't have a console error, so that's nice. All right. So let's reload this. Just make sure everything looks good. It is selecting all ST entities. And then what we want to do, oh, we want to try a different entity or a different filter. So theoretically, fingers crossed, ST animation should only show ST animation, or should have it. Yes, that's good. So it had it's populating that properly, and let's just make sure we're not getting any of these. So now the next thing is like when we click this, we actually want to change the route. Um, and I don't really know, like right now I cannot mentally picture um, exactly what the implications of that are. I think if all I change is this route, when it reloads, um, it'll rerun the filters and everything. There'll be an effect because the route changed, and I believe we have an effect that fire the one thing that causes our effect code to fire is a route change, I believe. Um, so console log. It's probably my son looking for his kid. He's like, "Where's my kid? Got to bring my kid." My phone is ringing. I'm guessing it's probably Rod. Let me look real quick. No, it's just some spam. So, anyways, normally I just ignore my phone completely. But I was slightly expecting a phone call from my son, so that was the main thing. Um, all right, so at this point, we are calling, I can't even remember what we're calling. Menu changed. So menu change is a good one because it's like, um, it's, should we add another adjective, right? Um, or adverb, something that says, no, this is the filter menu change, right? Something like that. But but the thing is does it make sense? Because if you're working in this app data layout component, there's only one menu, so it doesn't make sense to do that. And if are we going to find ourselves where we're flying around trying to kind of keep track? Like a lot of times when you're like working in like deeper level data manipulations, like it's kind of hard to figure out where you're at. Um, because you're kind of using the tools to kind of move you around and now you're looking at code. And so it can be really helpful to have more explicit names. But more explicit names in some circumstances can also be more confusing. So, because it implies that there's other things. So if I called this a filter criteria menu change, then that sort of implies that there's other kinds of menus, So, and that's the thing is that's the piece that like I don't know how to like break that down into like a codable skill, like a skill that like you just have to go with your gut. A lot of times, it's like honestly, like I would say, like 95% of coding that matters, right? Like most of the coding doesn't matter. So I would say 90% of coding doesn't really matter. It's like there's a lot of ways to do it. There's as long as you do it one of the right ways, you're fine. And there's tons of them, and it's been done a million times before, and you're fine. But every once in a while, maybe 10% of the time, which is a lot, something isn't something that people do all the time, or the way you're doing it is slightly different than the way everybody else does it, or whatever, like you have a need that is slightly different than what the documented dogma need is. And in that circumstance, it's very difficult to like I don't know what the code is for that because that is like, or what the scheme is to handling that. And a lot of times you just have to go like, oh, there's like 10 different possible options. I don't know which one to do. But anyway, so we have our value of our string, and I don't know if I feel like we should strongly type that a little bit better if at all possible. So it's going to be a routing detail type, which is a limited union of strings. Let's see if it'll let us do that. I don't know. I'm not going to worry too much if it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, so now we have our string and we want to set the route. And I don't know, I know we have a routing layout service, and I know that we listen to it. Okay, I know we have a routing layout service of some sort. I'm pretty sure we listen to it. So we have this current route service. So does current route service have a way to set the route? Um, and then I'm wondering, like, okay, so this is a general routing service, but like setting the route at this point would probably be more like very, very local. Okay, so so how route after a menu change. So my current route is and is and when the user selects selects new value like next, I want it to change the route to // local 4200 /data dash next. See what it does with the router service when the selection is changed. So boom, go component. That's pretty cool though. Next, router navigate. This router navigate dash data value. Okay, so you have to give it the full path. So it needs that data here to be represented there, which is, I think, a little bit harder to sort of generalize. But let's just try this. I don't know. I don't think we have the router installed. Oh, we do. We do have it. And it looks like we do use it. All right, so let's go. Or, oh, I wasn't even looking at the right thing, I don't think. I was looking at my routing service. Okay, so do we have the router installed here? Nope. But I do have it over there. This is a tough one. Okay, I'm just gonna say, where are you? Where is this thing? Because I do have access to the service, and I think it's better probably from a maintainability to add this routing behavior inside of the service. B, it's already there, so like it already has the router installed, so it's like, it'd be harder, it'd be easier. It'll actually be easier to do probably to do it there than to try to and call it from there than to try to get the router in here. And then another but um the disadvantage is that this logic is a bit specific to this. So maybe I can say like, I guess these are routing details. So it's like, okay, this dot, what do I, current route service dot set routing detail. And I think that would take two things. It's going to return a Boolean, but I'm not even going to use it. Well, actually, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to return what it returns, which is probably just true. Maybe when we go there, we'll decide it. We want a little bit more. But so those are called routing details. And let's see, services, routing. So we have our routing layout type, which is data, and our routing detail type. So there's two things. We have a routing layout. Okay, routing layout. So actually, I'm just going to send it the word data. And it's a routing layout type. So let's just do that. Const routing layout type, which is of type routing. I think it's layout type. I think I just don't have it imported. And this is like, again, like right now I'm like on the verge of being too confused to get stuff done. So this is helping a lot. That having this, okay, I have two pieces. One of them is called the routing layout, and that is whatever is in here, which there's like four possible choices, four accepted choices. One is called custom, the other one's called tabular, one's called update, and then one is called data. And data is the one that we're displaying, right? So those words, that set of words, it could just be a weird, yucky abstraction instead of a set of words that makes sense. And you can code with yucky extractions and perfectly fine, like your level of like how much things make sense to you. Um, so I'm going to change this instead of value. It's going to be routing layout detail type. And just to be clear, this breaks, I mean, conceptually, it doesn't actually, but it conceptually breaks the way update works. Update just has an ID. Um, so when we circle all the way back to update, we have a system in place that is out of sync with the whole rest of the application. So we'll have to figure that out. Okay, so we give this thing a routing detail type. And routing layout detail. And then we want to go over to a current. Let's just copy this whole thing. And again, just to be very, very clear, yes, I did use ChatGPT to figure out, okay, how do I want to do this? But then at the same time, um, I didn't use their work, what they gave me specifically. I didn't like copy and paste it. I figured out what it was telling me, and then I figured out, okay, what is in here that I need, and that is important. Colon routing layout detail type. I don't know why it's. Did I actually send the same thing twice? Is that what's going on here? Oh. Let's see. Let's go back to here. To the app data layout. I think it was the last function. Yeah, I freaking sent the exact same thing twice. Okay, so the first one is the routing layout type, not the routing detail. It's the routing layout type. Okay, what's the problem? Oh, I think the problem is on the other side. I have it strongly typed to a routing layout detail type. Let's copy this again and give it another try. Give her a try. Try her out. No, we're here. Just going to try that again from scratch. Control V, tab. No, and then return true. All right, so basically now we're to the point where we can use, okay, this should be fine. Should compile just fine. Okay, good. Now we want to do something along this lines. But instead of data and value, we want to go to routing layout type. So I could not have gotten here without this. Now, and would not surprise me if this breaks in production. Because I think, well, I don't know. I think if I get this thing to a production level, I think I'll probably just buy it its own domain and let it sit at the top of the domain so it won't break in that scenario. But I think this also goes to GitHub. And yeah, I think that that's going to break, and we probably need to figure that out, how to fix that. Um, because, well, I can't remember. Do we? I don't think we've deployed this anywhere actually. Let's see, do I have a deploy? Yes, yeah. Okay, so this has never been deployed anywhere. Once this gets deployed, this I don't think this is going to work. I think we're going to need another layer, so we're going to have to add some sort of environment variable or something like that that determines where it should be, or maybe it can do an analysis of the URL and figure out where it is. But all right, so let's try this. Kind of seems like it might have worked. Oh yeah. All right, so that worked. So that's good. That's exactly what we want. So now, like the test that we want to do is like this. We go here. We can do one more step of the test. We go to animations. We go to add. We go here. We go to delete. We hit delete. We hit back, and that should be gone. So we can at least now test our work. We haven't done any work yet. We just put all the visualizations and data and information so that we can determine that we actually succeeded in the task. Um, and that should be fun. And I guess, I don't know, this seems like a really good place to do a commit, but I kind of, let's see where we're at. Okay, so we got our package, we got our app data, app layout. Okay, so the next thing is going to be the actual work part is going to be, it's going to be here, right? Let's refresh. It's going to be in this, in here. And because at some point when you click this button, we're going to have to crawl through and figure out where that delete happens. And then we're going to have to go in and we're going to have to make sure it deletes. And then in the future, what's going to happen is, um, oops, we're going to have to add additional code to make sure that it doesn't delete an animation that is being used in multiple visualizations, which isn't possible right now. But we have to keep in mind that that is going to be a possibility, and that's where the I think that data table that shows things, because we'll be like, oh, okay, add it to a different animation. Okay, now delete the animation. Now go back. Is the mesh gone? Okay, yeah, that mesh was only being used in one place, so that's good. Is the animation gone? No, it's not gone, so that's good because it was being used somewhere else, right? Like that is going to be the test. And then on top of that, it is a bit of just a virtual test because that is in no way in JavaScript to guarantee that the thing has been deleted. It just guarantees that we think it's been deleted. But we could accidentally create a little memory leak that keeps that object alive even though it's not in our table. So, that's the other thing is like just because it's gone on that doesn't mean it's actually gone. We're creating a thing so that we can tell if it's gone, but if we then break some rules, we'll end up worse off than we started. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.